Okay, now this video highlights the essential evacuation procedures that most companies will adhere to when evacuating their premises for various reasons. Now, this video suggests a particular hazard as to the cause of the evacuation. I assume we can all see what the particular hazard is?
Fire?
Yes, the fire hazard.
Absolutely. Now, although this is perhaps the most common reason for the evacuation of an organisation, it is important to note that it isn't the only reason. Reasons for evacuating vary and can include the spillage of hazardous substances, if you're working in a chemical factory, for instance, a public safety threat. This has become increasingly important with the rise of terrorism in recent years, and in the rare instance of a natural disaster, although these are particularly scarce in the UK, very luckily. Needless to say, when an emergency occurs, the evacuation of your organisation or department is not something you should take lightly. As expected, your primary concern, at least in the case as line managers, is getting your employees and any other people out of the premises and to a safe location. Essentially, any organisation would need to work closely with their fire and police departments in order to come up with a coherent evacuation plan and regularly practice this procedure so that employees can become familiar with it. Of course, I cannot provide the instructions as to how you are to implement the procedure into your company's practice, but I can nonetheless provide the essential steps of a general evacuation plan, which will hopefully give you an indication as to what you must do. I have a final handout for you which breaks down the final steps of the evacuation plan, which I'll pass on to you now, which is a 4-step evacuation plan for you to see.
Thank you.
So if you look at the sheet, as we can see, the first step is safely stop working. So you must ensure that your team are aware that all work must stop immediately upon an alarm going off. However, measures should be taken in advance by heads of department that would make sure that any sensitive equipment is automatically shut down in an emergency for further safety. Next stop is leave the building through the nearest exit sign. In case of emergencies, it is paramount that no stairway or hallway are blocked during an evacuation. You must make sure that there is an emergency exit doorway in close proximity to any workspace, allowing easy access by all employees. Don't forget that you must cater to those of limited mobility as well. That's very important. Report to the nearest designated assembly area. That's the third step. There needs to be an assembly point where you can gather with your team. Now, ensure that you can perform a head count and report any missing individuals, notifying the emergency responders about any sensitive equipment or animals left in the building, so notify the fire brigade or the police department of any further people or animals or equipment left inside. Now, the final point, again, very important, wait for instructions from emergency responders. Do not act until you get the go-ahead. Finally, you must remain within the designated assembly point with your team and ensure that no one enters the premises until expressly permitted by the emergency services present. I'm assuming that you must by now have a good general understanding of the emergency procedures in your organisations. Would it be safe to assume that they are fairly similar to the ones that we've just covered?
Yes, they're pretty much identical. They mention all the necessary stages of an evacuation plan, but it also goes on to stress the importance of providing facilities for the disabled. We are line managers, so we wouldn't necessarily be expected to provide this ourselves. Surely it would be expected of the HR department?
Yes, Natalie, agreed. However, you nonetheless have a responsibility to your workers, so it is incredibly important and useful to know this information in advance so that you can actually raise it with your HR department should you notice that such procedures are missing. So you can actually take that further step and initiate it if you see that it's not there.
I also think they resemble the same essential evacuation procedures that we have on our firm. I'd actually like to be able to provide this information to the employees in our department. Would I be able to download this information online?
Yes, naturally, Michael. In fact, I'm glad you asked. I will send you both an email with links to the information we've covered today. It will feature the option to download the sheets that I handed out to you as well as other useful information on health and safety in the workplace, which you'll be able to pass on to your colleagues and employees. Now, we are just coming to the end of the presentation, but I would like to first check if there's anything that you want to discuss on the material that we have covered today. Any further questions, perhaps?
No, I'm good, thanks.
No, I'm also pretty clear on everything. Thank you.
Excellent. Well, we have now reached the end of our presentation today. To summarise, today we looked at the key health and safety procedures that by law need to be adhered to in all organisations. Line managers such as yourselves will need to ensure that you comply with the following key principles highlighted in the Health and Safety at Work Act in 1974. Let's have a look at them again. Remember to refer to your first handout because we'll all be listed there. So they are a safe system of work. Work must be conducted in a safe manner by all staff. A safe place of work. A fear and danger-free zone must be created within your department to provide a safe working environment for staff. Safe and competent people included in the workspace. Ensure that staff are all well behaved and respectful towards each other and their colleagues and have the necessary skills to work without causing dangers to themselves or others. Carrying out risk assessments, again very important, to hone in on any potential risks in the workplace and to take steps to eliminate and control these risks. Fully informing workers of any potential hazards, that's the next one, associated with any work process or activity, including providing instruction, supervision and training. Appointing a competent person to deal with health and safety protocols, such as a head of health and safety to oversee day-to-day safety management and liaise with staff. The penultimate one is consulting with workspace or workplace safety representatives, again very important to liaise with them and discuss any issues that they may raise. And finally, providing adequate safety facilities for employees at work. We also looked at the importance of installing an effective evacuation plan within organisations and the responsibility that you have towards your staff as managers in such situations. We've determined that a clear and well thought out evacuation plan needs to be in place in every professional organisation in order to ensure the well-being of staff and ultimately to prevent being held liable under the law if such procedures were missing. Again, I'll be sending you both an email to follow up with what we have covered today in this session in more detail shortly. My email will provide you with all access to the handouts that you've received today, along with a link to the mentioned Health and Safety at Work Act, where you will be able to follow up in more detail on any further legal clauses and use them as guidance in your professional practice. I hope that you will both be able to take away the most important lesson today. Can anyone tell me what that is?
Yes, the procedures that must be implemented into our workplace, ensuring the safety of our staff and to ourselves.
Good, that's the objective. But can anyone tell me the lesson that you'll take away with you today?
How to work safely for life?
Excellent, that's it. It was a bit of a trick question, so apologies there. Well done. Any other questions before we wrap up? No?
No.
Thank you both for your attention today, and I wish you a safe and prosperous career.
Thank you.
Thank
Very
you.
informative.
Thank you.
Take care.